Sitting down today, I'm sitting on a cushion. You can choose to use a cushion underneath your hips if that feels more supportive, whatever you like. And we'll just check in with the state of the body. So feel free to close your eyes if you like. Draw the shoulders down and back and the chest is open. Taking some smooth, even breaths in and out through the nose. Noticing sensations that you feel in the lower limbs, ankles, knees, and hips. Feel free to rock the hips from side to side, noticing sensations in your pelvis and the lower back. The spine, chest, shoulders and arms, your neck, head, and the muscles of the face. We'll circle through the spine a few times. So reaching up and over, side stretch to start, breathing into the rib cage. And then rotating the sternum towards the ceiling, looking up. A little twist here. Rotating down to look at your leg. Releasing over the right leg. You don't have to force your shoulders to be squared here, but just move in that direction. So the forward bend and a twist. But take it easy, especially if this is the first twisting activity you've done today. Walking towards the center and over to the other side, sweeping up and to the side, bend to the left. Smooth even breaths in and out through the nose, breathing into the rib cage and also the outside of the hip. Rotating the sternum towards the ceiling, looking up. Spinal twist here. And then rotate to look at the side. Folding over the left side. Again, you can push your shoulders more square. That's going to be a deeper twist. Walking over to the center once more. Relax the back of the neck. And you roll up through the spine. Taking the legs into a V. We'll do the same pattern. So I'm keeping my hips elevated here, which is great to access the hamstrings better and be able to move your pelvis a little bit more freely. But again, if you don't have a cushion, that's fine. You might want to bend your knees, especially if the hamstrings are feeling tight today. So the same pattern, we're going to reach up and over, side stretch first. Breathing into the ribcage, the space underneath the armpit. Opening the sternum towards the ceiling. Rotating the chest towards the thigh. From here, bringing the hands down, just frame the leg. And you can stay pretty upright and work on the twisting action. If that feels good, you might creep a little bit lower, stretching out the hamstring. And you walk towards the center. Same thing, always welcome to keep the knee bent and any of these forward bends. Work on being able to move your pelvis forward. And then notice I have my feet flexed, toes up towards the ceiling. Walking it over and side stretch to the left. You're getting into the rib cage here, really thinning out through the fingertips. Your right hip is grounded into the floor. Opening the chest towards the ceiling. Spiral through the spine to face the left leg. And then we'll frame this leg with our hands up high or down low, depending on your capacity today. Working on that spiral through the spine primarily. Walking to the center. Take a little shift of your hips from side to side here, loosening up the hip joints. We'll be doing a lot of active flexibility today, especially around the hips, hamstrings, legs. So we start to warm that up. And then release the back of the neck, head is heavy, shoulders are rounded. Again, the knees can be bent here, no problem. And roll up the spine, ground the sitting bones, roll up, stacking vertebra by vertebra. Head is the last thing to arrive. We're going to come into a tabletop position on the mat. Hands are relatively underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we'll start with our basic cat-cow stretches. Inhaling tailbone and top of the head up to the ceiling. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Drop the tailbone and top of the head towards the floor. On your own breath. Just a few rounds. Noticing what's going on in your spine today. Couple more rounds like that. Connecting the breath with the movement. Into a neutral spine, inhaling here. Exhaling, tucking your toes under, shift the hips back, stretching through the arches of the feet. Pressing into the big toe. And then we'll shift our hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Knees can be bent. Heels don't need to touch the ground. Chest and belly move back towards the side. Walking the feet towards the hands. Coming into a bent knee, forward bend. Feet underneath the hips. Relax the back of the neck. Smoothing and resting out through the nose. Drop the tailbone around the spine like a tortoise. And then we drop the pelvis first, stacking the bones of the spine one by one. That is the last thing to arrive. Stepping to the front of the mat, we're going to open our palms to the front, reaching out through the fingertips, Tadasana, the mountain pose. Breathing here, feeling the soles of the feet in contact with the floor. And then we'll extend that mountain upwards. So taking the fingertips up to frame the head and lifting the heels. Ooh. Totally normal to wobble if this is the first time you've done this today, or if it's the 1000th time you've done it today. And then slowly dropping the heels back into mountain pose, reaching the fingertips towards the earth. Breathe. One more time, reaching up through the fingertips, looking up, and carrying the heels up with you. Float the heels down, nice and slow. Through mountain pose, dropping the chin to the chest, we roll through the spine, keeping the arms close to the body, keeping the tailbone under until the last second. Bent knee, forward bend. Hands can rest on the shins. They may touch the feet or the floor. Straightening one knee and then the other. Stretch the hamstring in one knee and then the other. Alternating pattern. Relax the shoulders and the back of the neck. That is heavy. And we're going to bend the knees until the heels lift up, lifting up, little squat. And then press the heels down and stretch. A smooth movement between this little toe squat and the forward bend. Using support with your hands as needed for balance. Looking up at the top of each one of these. So stretching your hamstrings. Popping up into a little squat. Drop the heels. Forward bend. 2 more times. And if you have furniture nearby and balance is ever an issue, never feel bad about getting some support from the objects around you. We're back in this forward bend. We'll plant the hands and come back into our tabletop position once more. Tucking the toes under, shifting the hips back, stretching through the arches of the feet. Mm-hmm. Try to shift your weight towards the big toes. Really get the stretch in the arch of the foot and that first toe. Release everything and come down into a cobra, dropping the pelvis, drawing the shoulders back. Relax the neck. Breathe here. Inhale, and as you exhale, laying one vertebra at a time onto the floor, hands underneath the shoulders, draw the shoulder blades down and back. Tops of the feet are now relaxed onto the floor. You can connect this cobra with our breath. So inhaling, draw the shoulders back, lengthen the crown of the head away from the tail, and press up. Exhale, rippling through the spine, laying one vertebra at a time onto the mat. Forehead down. Inhale, lengthen and open the chest. Exhale, lay the spine onto the floor, leaning towards the chest. Two more times, inhaling up and exhaling down. Inhaling up and exhaling. This time pressing up into the cobra and then shifting the hips back into child's pose. You can take your knees wide here if you like. And you may want to stack your hands to rest your forehead. All variations are welcome. Breathing into the back body, expanding the shoulder blades with each inhale, getting apart from each other. And to feel the shoulder blades gliding around under the cage. And releasing your arms quite far in front of you. You can lift your head here. So we're going to move in between the Sphinx pose and child's pose with a nice gliding movement, trying to move really smoothly, leading with the head. So the head comes forward, the elbows bend, Elvis drops down, chest open. Even if your knees are wide, doesn't matter. Exhaling, press into the elbows, shifting the hips back. Child's pose. And it doesn't have to be hips to heels. Your alignment will likely change depending on your proportion. So if it's more like a puppy pose, that's totally fine. I'm going to try to keep our hands where they are so that we don't scoot into another room. Do a slide forward, leading with the head. You can see that my tail stays lifted until the last moment. Press the pelvis down, open the chest. Exhale. Press into the hands, stretching that space underneath the armpits. Reaching back with the hips. Inhale and coming forward, leading with the head. Exhale, gliding back into the child's pose. Keep doing that one more time. Through Sphinx into child. And then take your knees as wide as you like, your hips as far back as you like. Your favorite version of child's pose will take 10 breaths here. Holding the hands, walk ourselves up to sit on the heels. My knees are wide apart because I took a wide child's pose, and that's totally fine. You can vary it knees together or apart. Relaxing the shoulders down and back. Let's take the shoulders in a roll a couple of times. So up towards the ears and then glide them down and back. After that back bend, that should probably feel good. Stretching the tops of the feet here. Smooth even breaths in and out through the nose. And then I'm shifting forward to support with my hands, tucking my toes under and taking them pretty wide towards the edges of my mat so that I can press myself back into Malasana, the yogi squat. You can adjust the width according to the space you have, and also the length of your limbs. You might need a wider frame. Pelvis is dropped down as much as you can, chest lifted as much as possible, heels relatively on the floor. Take the hands in front of the heart, elbows pressing against the insides of the knees. If your hips tend to be lifted here, it might be more comfortable to rest your elbows on top of the knees. Two more breaths in the yogi squat. Bring the hands to the floor, rotating the heels so that they are facing behind us. We walk ourselves forward a little bit and find a wide leg downward dog. Just like with a normal downward dog, you can bend your knees, your heels will not touch the floor. Let our hips rock from side to side a little bit here. And then walking our hands back, drop the pelvis, turn out the feet, finding our squat once more. Smooth even breaths in and out through the nose. I'm going to do this one more time. So finding the floor with your hands for support, turn the toes forward and the heels behind you, and then walk just a couple steps with the hand until you can find a nice comfy wide downward dog. Your feet may be off the mat unless you don't have space where you are. So if that's the case, then taking a lower step, and that's totally fine. Breathing here. And then walking back. Last time in the squat today, drop the heels as much as you can. Open the chest. See what's available to you. Breathe. Hands come in front of the heart. And we drive through the heels, pressing straight up. Bring the feet underneath the hips. Inhale, open the chest, looking up at the thumbs. Exhale, drop the chin, rolling down through the spine. Leading the head forward, long flat back. Reverse that shape, looking up at the thumbs. And as you exhale, drop the chin, rolling down through the spine. It's a wave, reaching out through the crown of the head, flat back, reaching up, look at the thumbs. Exhale, drop the chin, roll through the spine. One more time, reaching out, tail away from head, lead with the chest, looking up, hands come in front of the heart. Breathing here, Samasthiti. I'm going to step the right foot forward, maybe 3 feet, 1.5 meters. Is that 1.5 meters? Squaring your hips towards the front, hands on the waist. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, we're going to try to keep this right leg straight. You may bring your hands onto your thigh or shin. You want to keep the chest open, so don't feel the need to collapse here. Pyramid pose. Breathe. I'm going to rotate this back foot and come down into a lunge. So dropping the knee, 90-90 here. Relax the top of the foot onto the floor. Find your stability. If your knee is sensitive, you're going to roll the mat or slide a blanket or a cushion underneath the knee. Taking the left arm up, open the chest, reaching towards your heel. You do not need to touch it. And then back. We're going to flex this front foot and extend it out a little bit, folding into the hamstring stretch. The shape is going to get a little bit bigger than 90-90 when we replace the sole of the foot. Now you're stretching the hip flexor. Reach up with that left arm and back towards your calf or the heel. Reverse the shape. Hamstring stretch. 2 more times. Inhaling. Dancing camel pose. Exhaling. Ardha Hanumanasana, half split. Inhale. Open the chest. And this is moving towards the side. Exhale. Hamstring stretch. Nice work. Just shifting everything forward. Lengthening the hip flexor. Breathe. Shifting the pelvis back. So the hips over that back knee. We're going to float this right leg up. And bring the knees together. Feet apart. Wider than your hips. Hips fall in between the heels. The hero's pose. Stretching the fronts of the ankles. 3 breaths. Just relaxing the shoulders down and back. Chest lifted. Shifting forward, scooching the heels together. Tuck the toes under. Coming into the forward bend. Rocking the tail and the crown of the head rolling up through the spine. Shoulders come up, back, and down. Feet underneath the hips. Step the left foot about 3 feet in front of you. Maybe a bigger step if your legs are a lot longer than mine. My back foot is slightly turned out. Square the hips relatively to the front. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, pyramid. Supporting your body weight with your hands on the thigh or the shin. If you have a tendency to hyperextend, you might want to bend the knee a little bit. Should not cause you discomfort in your knee. Tucking the right toes under, 90-90, straight down. Relax the top of the foot onto the floor. And we'll reach our right arm up and around, finding heel or calf, opening the chest towards the right a little bit. Shifting forward, slide this left heel in front, flex the foot, straighten the leg, Ardha Hanumanasana. Practice. Connecting these two movements. Sole of the foot comes onto the mat. This is going to cause your pelvis to fall forward, length in the hip flexor, reaching up and over, little back bend, and then forward, stretching the hamstring. Connecting it with the breath, inhale, dancing camel pose. Exhale, hamstring stretch. Again, inhale, reaching up and over. Exhale. One more. Inhale, reach up and over. Exhale. Shifting onto the sole of that foot. Pelvis falls forward. Hip flexor stretch here. Breathe. Cushioning that back knee anytime that you feel you need it. It's totally fine. Pelvis comes over the knee. Try to find some stability over this right leg. We want to bring the left knee to meet the right. Feet come apart, wider than the hips. And if hero's pose also is uncomfortable on the knees, you can sit on your heels instead. 3 breaths here. Let's lift the sternum, draw the shoulder blades down and back. And we'll bring ourselves all the way down to the belly. You can stack your hands and rest your forehead on your stacked hand. Just let your body relax into the floor. You want to shift your pelvis from side to side, making sure that the lower back is soft, the thighs are relaxed. And sliding our elbows underneath the shoulders into the Sphinx pose once more. More soft and relaxed Sphinx pose variation. Your feet can be apart. You don't need to be squeezing the shoulder blades up and back. In this position, we're going to bend the knees, toes towards the ceiling, and if it feels possible, you're going to lift the chin. Noticing that line along the back of the body. And then as we exhale, we're going to lower the feet and drop the chin to the chest, rounding the neck. Inhale, the chest comes forward, the knees bend, lifting the chin if it's possible. And exhale, drop the shins and round the upper back. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more times. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Inhale, chest is coming forward, chin lift. And exhale. And then pressing through the hands, hips back to the heels. Maybe you want to slide your knees closer to your abdomen. Take the knees wide apart. Extended child's pose. Releasing the forehead either onto your soft hands or a cushion, or directly on the mat with the arms extended. 10 slow, deep breaths. Walking your hands back to sit on the heels, and then shifting your butt off to the side, swinging the legs in front of you. As usual, elevating the hips in forward bends, highly recommended. Knees can also be bent. You want to keep the chest open as long as we can. You can even take the knees wider apart so that you can really let your torso come in between the knees. Finding this long spine shape, forward bend. Hands on the knees, shins, ankles, feet, wherever they end up. Draw the shoulders back, bring the chest forward. Lengthen through the spine here. And then when you've gone as far forward as you can, then you can drop hold neck and shoulders around again. Breathing into the back body. And then roll, drop the tail, stacking one vertebra at a time. Head is the last thing to arrive. Coming to sit in any comfortable cross-legged position. Lengthening through the crown of the head, rounding through the pelvis. Draw our shoulders up towards our ears, back and down. 2 more times. Rolling the shoulders back and down. Last one. Moving through the neck, dropping the chin to the chest, and taking a little half circle on the chest. Rocking the chin from side to side. Roll up the neck, looking up towards the ceiling, draw the shoulder blades flat, opening and closing the jaw a few times. You may notice there's a lot of tension in this line of fascia that runs underneath the chin. We come back to the center. You take one hand on the chest and one on the abdomen and work on some two-part breathing. So Durga pranayama, yogic breath, we're going to use our diaphragm to expand the navel away from the spine as much as possible. And then when it feels like the lower part of your lungs are completely full, in a smooth, even movement, continue to fill the lungs by expanding the rib cage out away from the spine like an umbrella and the chest up. And then when we exhale, we reverse that, letting the chest fall. The umbrella of the rib cage closes and the navel goes back towards the spine, exhaling completely, inhaling completely on your own rhythm. Can feel difficult if you're not accustomed to diaphragmatic breathing. You really want to feel your belly moving against your hand and your chest also moving with your hand. So then we're using these hand positions as biofeedback here. So breathing into the abdomen, rib cage, and chest. Exhaling from the chest, rib cage, and abdomen. On your own rhythm. Releasing the Durga pranayama, index fingers touching the thumbs, hands resting on the backs of the knees, normal breathing. Just observe your natural breath for a few rounds, noticing how the breath is moving through the body. Scanning through the physical body once more, like we did at the beginning of class, checking in with sensations that you feel in the lower limbs, hips and spine, the trunk of the body, your chest, shoulders and arms, neck, skull, and the muscles of the face. This is a shorter class to be convenient for more folks, but I always want to recommend that if you have time to take Shavasana after we're done practicing, lying down for a few minutes. I highly recommend it. Bring the hands in front of the heart, thumbs lightly touch the sternum. Low back namaskar, Tikinopavanti, and Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. All beings everywhere, be happy, healthy, and free. Peace, peace, peace. And as we drop forward, thumbs touch the eyebrow center. Body on foot, but thank you as always for participating.